Hey, welcome to Discovering More. David Forkey and me here today to talk about mentoring. Yeah, your sermon title officially was maybe one of the longest sermon titles I've seen. Risking intentional spiritual relationships.
Yes.
Yeah, intentionally broad, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, originally we had talked about mentoring, but I really felt we needed to get on all different sides of that concept of mentoring and being mentored. And I'd come across a long time ago this concept of this idea of having a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy in your life, and I really liked it. And so I just thought, and I was trying to figure out how do I capture that concept in a title. And so I just let's be intentional.
Yeah.
About being spiritual with the people that God has given us, and there are different kind of ways that we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you kind of highlighted how we need people pouring into us. We need peers who are there for, I liked how you said, they love us, but they don't, but they're
aren't
not
necessarily impressed by you.
impressed by us. There we go.
Yeah.
They're in love. They love us, but they're not impressed by us. That's a good one. And then somebody that we're pouring into as well was kind of the threefold approach.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, I couldn't help but be struck by the reality that many of us are facing loneliness in that we don't have people we trust close by. We don't have people we can really go to or turn to. And the beautiful thing about being part of a congregation is like we're actually part of a smaller community where we can be known. And you think about what happens on a Sunday morning at whatever church you may go to. It's kind of crazy that people from all walks of life, all ages and stages, come to one place, and they have the opportunity, at least, to be known.
Yeah.
To be known for who they are. For young kids to interact with old people, for neighbors to meet, in a place. So, I think the church has a unique advantage here in being able to foster this kind of intentional spiritual relationship. But people have to want it to some degree.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And I think probably, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but I think everybody probably does want it to a certain degree. But there's we've been talking about risk in this series, and there's certain risk in doing that, of allowing yourself to be known that deeply. And because once you really start letting somebody in, they are going to get to know you, and they might not be that impressed. I mean, if people would really get to know what's going on in my life, the struggles that I have, and maybe some of the stuff that I've done that I shouldn't do, they might think less of me. Right? But that's the beauty, though, of being in a relationship with a fellow Christian who understands that we're none of us are where we could be or should be with God.
Yeah.
And that God loves us and forgives us and wants to keep lifting us up. And then that means I can do the same for you, and hopefully you do the same for me.
Yeah. Well, and there's this almost intangible thing that happens in these intentional spiritual relationships where, like for me, I've kind of offered myself as a mentor to people before, and they haven't taken me up on it. Or people have been looking for me to be a mentor, but it's it just didn't quite work out on my end.
Yeah.
And there's this, I think it's an alignment of the spirit, where there seems to be an openness and this willingness on both sides. And I think practically speaking, wherever you are in your faith walk, and no matter how old or young you are, I think the value of what you pointed out, David, is that, everyone has something to offer someone else.
Right.
And so even if you're 85, 90 years old, you have something to give somebody younger than you. Not that you need to get all, you don't have to start knocking on everyone's door or trying to find somebody at church to just get to know somebody, pour into them. And I think it starts with those simple, intentional, maybe questions of, hey, how's it going in your life? What's new? Where are you finding God blessing you right now? Where are your struggles? It starts with those simple questions, and then maybe you'll find that you have some wisdom to give to them, or maybe it's just a listening ear. But I think it starts with just normal human interactions, that develop into this intentionality and this prayer for one another. And no matter who you are, you have the ability and the time to do this for another person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not something you want to force. If you start, taking a relationship and trying to take it really deep, spiritually or emotionally, whatever, that can definitely be a problem. And so there's a lot of discernment involved in how this relationship is going and what's going on with anybody that you're in relationship with. But I was thinking about this, and I just feel like hopefully we all have Christian relationships. But if you're connected to the church, you have some relationships. But I think that there's just this idea that this fear of making it getting too serious, right? And so it's like, we're not supposed to talk about religion, are we? Well, with fellow Christians, we should be able to talk about faith stuff. Maybe don't call it religion, faith stuff. But I think we kind of float by without taking those opportunities to do that.
Pairing this with our sermon from a couple weeks ago, risking our care. You think about sometimes when people approach us like, "Hey, man, I'm struggling with X, Y, Z." We think we have to fix them. Mm-hmm. In a mentoring relationship, it's not about fixing anyone.
No.
It's about walking alongside them and saying, "I'm here. Yeah. You got your struggles, great. I'm here. I'm going to walk with you through them."
Right.
And maybe you have some wisdom to give you, but maybe I also need you to carry some of my struggles here too. Mm-hmm. And so I think there always is that sense of mutuality and also a sense of equipping. A risk, like when we're talking about just caring for another person, there's not necessarily that equipping that comes along with that. But like you definitely have something to offer someone. You have something to offer someone. So I don't know.
And I would just add to that, it's in life changes and relationships change and they grow and develop as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so someone that I maybe in more of a mentoring relationship later on, they might be the one supporting me through stuff. And I was thinking about I did college ministry in my first church, mm-hmm. and I had a number of college students. I mean, there was not some formal mentor relationship, but it was like mentoring relationship as I was doing Bible studies with them, and they'd come in the office and we'd talk and share. And then years later, some of those same people are the ones who are contacting me, hearing, "Oh, I heard you were having some struggles at your church," and just very much encouraging me, and carrying me forward. And they become not a mentor kind of mentee relationship, but more spiritual friends, and even doing things that are kind of in a mentoring kind of role to point me to the bigger picture of what God is doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that takes some humility on your part too.
Yeah, well, that's true. But sometimes circumstances make you humble.
Yeah,
and you're ready for that.
Yeah.
But,
so I guess just some practical encouragement for you if you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, if you have grandparents or aunts and uncles, and you're looking for somebody to, pour into you, or somebody for whom you can pour in. These are natural connections. Maybe people you sit by at church. I just pray that God gives you the spiritual discernment to see those people, and it's it's going to be building a normal relationship. We're not, and it's not for any purpose, right? We're not trying to do this to put another notch on our belt, or I don't know. Say I have a mentor or I have a mentee.
No.
It's really that's why I like intentional spiritual relationship better than mentoring, in the sense that we're trying to be human. We're trying to be more human. And this is how God designed us to walk together with a Paul and a Barnabas and a Timothy. Yeah. And to be able to continue to spur one another on, as Hebrews 10 said, to more and more good works.
Yeah, and to me, it's recognizing the wonder and the beauty of the people that God has put into our lives to walk together as we follow Jesus. And the more you're intentional about it, the more you see it, and the more you can celebrate it and benefit from it for yourself, for others, for the whole body of Christ.
Yeah. I guess last thing, if you already have a mentor, maybe send him a text. Say, "Hey, thanks for helping me, being there for me, walking with me through all this stuff." So, And we're always here as pastors to help you get connected more to peace and all that good stuff too. Hope this has been helpful for you, and maybe risk an intentional spiritual relationship this week. God's blessings.